Hello, everyone. I'm Sid Winsek,
And I'm Casey Soper.
and today we're diving into the world of drag to answer the question, who will win season 18 of RuPaul's Drag Race? This is our comprehensive evaluation based prediction. All right, as fans, Casey and I love the show. We've looked at the history of previous winners and factored in the different traits and talents of the new season's contestants in order to hopefully predict the winner of season 18. So let's start with what we evaluated. To begin, we created a data set with the following information based on the new contestants, which are their previous winning track records, age, hometown, race, birthplace region, placements in design, ball, improv, makeover, and snatch game. Those are going to be our signature challenges. So here are the trends that we found and the ones that stood out. All right, so the first thing we noticed was age. Looking at this graph, there's a clear insight when tracking the ages of the previous winners. Winners are typically between the ages of 21 and 39 with an average of 27.5. This indicates that the queens with more experience under their belt, who are mid-career, have a greater chance of success.
And where are the queens from? I made an interactive map to show where queens are typically from in the winners, and what we found was that 29% of the winners are from the South. They're Southern queens, which means that the predominant region of winners is the South. While there are a variety of queens located in Los Angeles, New York, those are the only cities that really stand out beyond the South. The other queens typically have migrated to Los Angeles and New York. So, in terms of representation outside of the biggest cities, it's going to be the South for the winners. And then we also took a look at Snatch Game, which is the biggest predictor of the winner. 71% of the 17 winners thus far have placed high or won the Snatch Game. Um, this is really interesting in terms of the seasons as a whole because it puts a lot of weight on this one challenge in terms of track record. And the queens are always preparing for this challenge the most because of its history in predicting the winner. As you can see here, there's a heat map. The green queens are the queens who would go on to win the challenge and the season. The yellow queens are the queens who would place high in the snatch game and go on to win the season. And the queens in the bottom left in the red are the queens who placed low or were in the bottom for snatch game, who would go on to win the season. And make note of those two queens, Willow Pill and Evie Oddly, winners of season 14 and season 11. They will be relevant later.
All right, winning isn't new to these queens. This bar graph shows the percentage of challenges won by each winner on their respective season. From this, we learn that winning queens are well rounded and successful in many different types of challenges. And this graph is taking into consideration all of the challenges that they've done, not just our signature challenges that we're measuring.
And,
Oh, sorry.
you're good. And interesting to note here, once again, with Evie Oddly and Willow Pill, they are the only two winners to ever win less than 10% of the competitive challenges in the season, which means if you're not winning in Snatch Game, your chances of winning other highly comedic or performative challenges are even lower than they were before.
All right, winning twice is their vice. We also tallied the amount of wins and high placements in the signature challenges to see how common it is for queens to succeed across various mediums. So, when we count the amount of high placements and wins from the signature challenges, we find that 88% of winners have a minimum of two high or win placements. All right, strength and consistency. Consistency is crucial. 94% of winners have placed safe or higher in the majority of challenges. A winning queen is consistent in success, and when they place low in a challenge, they quickly pick themselves back together and learn from their mistakes. Contestants with this ability are sure to be winners, and it is important to note that only one queen has ever placed low multiple times and still won, and this is Evie Oddly. Now, the people love comedy. Finally, the winning queens can easily be sorted into three categories, which are performance, fashion, and comedy. And the evidence shows a clear pattern that queens who specialize in comedy have the upper hand in winning.
Now, after categorizing the previous 17 winners into one of the performance, comedy, or fashion categories, we've gone on to categorize the upcoming 14 competitors on the newest season of Drag Race, which starts airing next month, into one of these three categories based off their Meet the Queens interviews. So, starting from the top row, left to right, we've got Mia Starr, a performer, 39 years old, from Wilton Manors, Florida. Briar Blush, a fashion queen, 25 years old, from Boston, Massachusetts. Vita Von Teese Starr, a performer, 38 years old, from Montgomery, Alabama. Didi Fuego, a performer, 37 years old, from New York City. Kenya Pleaser, a comedian, 29 years old, from Columbia, South Carolina. Jane Don't, a comedian, 32 years old, from Seattle. Mikey Meeks, another comedian, 29 years old, from Orlando. And the bottom row, left to right, Darlene Mitchell, a comedian, 34 years old, from Los Angeles. Notably, Didi Fuego and Darlene Mitchell are the only queens representing New York and Los Angeles respectfully, which is uncommon in most seasons. We've also got Discord Adams, a fashion queen, 35 years old, from St. Petersburg, Florida. Nini Coco, a fashion queen, 29 years old, from Denver. Athena Dion, a performer, 38 years old, from Miami, Florida. Mandy Mango, a comedian, 29 years old, from Philadelphia. Juicy Love Dion, a performer, 24 years old, from Miami, Florida. And this is relevant to note because Juicy Love Dion is actually the drag sister of Morphine Love Dion, who was on season 16. And she is the drag daughter of Athena Dion, who she is competing against on this season. This is another relevant piece of information because historically in Drag Race, drag families do not compete against each other on seasons. So this is another historic element of this season. We've got a mother-daughter drag duo competing against each other on a season for the first time. And we've also got Sierra Mist, a fashion queen, 32 years old, from Indianapolis, Indiana. So, how did we determine who we think is going to win? Who are we looking for? We're looking for a queen from the South. As we know, the majority of winners are from the South, and without any LA or New York representation outside of two competitors, the chances of the winner being from the South are pretty high. We're looking for someone who's in their late 20s or early 30s based off previous winners. And as we said previously, about 27 and a half is sort of the median age to win. And we need strength in performance and comedy. These are two vital elements of winning Drag Race that no queen has ever been able to go without. If you cannot perform and you cannot make RuPaul laugh, the chances of winning at this point are non existent. So, from those 16 queens, we narrowed them down to eight, which are Darlene Mitchell, Kenya Pleaser, Jane Don't, Mikey Meeks, Nini Coco, Athena Dion, Mandy Mango, and Juicy Love Dion. This decision was made by us based off their age, their location, and their abilities. Um, because the other queens either didn't fall quite in our normal age range from a typical location or didn't seem to possess both performance and comedic abilities based off their Meet the Queens videos, we removed them from the top eight. So then we looked at a few more elements to determine who could be in the top four. Getting to top eight means you survived half the season, and getting to top four means you go on to the finale. So these are sort of the biggest benchmarks in Drag Race. We need a diverse top four. This can mean a lot of things in Drag Race. Um, Drag Race might love comedians and performers, but we're never going to get a final four of just one kind of queen. There has to be equal representation. So there's going to be a fashion queen, there's going to be a comedy queen, there's going to be a performing queen because it's the kind of thing where, in order to get to the end, you sort of have to showcase a different set of skills than the other queens. You want to be the best in your department. This also takes into account locations. Typically, the queens, the top four, are never going to be all from the same city or from the same state. We're looking for diverse age ranges amongst our top four and race as well. And the queens have to have a unique style and identity. Comparing the top four queens from season 18, who we predict them to be, they have to have a distinct visual identity and personality from the previous winners because Drag Race is all about branding. And without being able to brand your image, you're not going to make it very far. We can see this in our previous winners. As we've said previously, they succeed in all departments because it's not just one challenge win fits all. You sort of have to be a jack of all trades and past experience and resume. Typically on Drag Race, like we said, the median age is 27 and a half. We're not really looking for people who have just begun their career. We're looking for people who have experience under their belt and can sort of promote themselves on the show. What's their resume? What's their track record? What is it they have to share with the world? Which brought us down to a top four of Darlene Mitchell. She has 10 years of experience. She specializes in camp and country themes for her outfits and her comedy shows. And she's representing Los Angeles, being the only queen from California this season. We feel that she is a strong contender. We've also got Nini Coco, a fashion queen from Denver. She's 29 years old, right at that age we're looking for. She's got 10 years of experience. She's a costume designer, which means she's going to do well in those fashion challenges where other comedy or performance-based queens might not succeed. And she's representing the Midwest, which is an area that is underrepresented on Drag Race. And once again, she's the only queen representing the Midwest on this season. So we can expect that to carry her quite far. We've also got Mikey Meeks from Orlando. She's got 12 years of experience, and she's also an actor in the theater and she's representing the South. As we saw, Florida is a very popular state this season, with nearly half the queens hailing from there. So we've also got Juicy Love Dion from the Dion family dynasty. She's only got 5 years of experience, and she is competing against her mother this season. But given she's closer to the typical age range and has a little bit more variety compared to these other three queens in the top four we've placed, we feel that picking a performance-based queen who is known for her ability to dance. She's been on So You Think You Can Dance before. We think this is going to take her far. And based off these top four, and based off of what we know about the previous winners, we've determined that the winner of Drag Race Season 18 will be Mikey Meeks, the 29-year-old comedian from Orlando, Florida, because she has the most experience, she has the most diverse background in performance design and comedy, and Orlando is the most competitive city on the season with multiple queens hailing from there, which means that the show is going to want to carry the drama out throughout the episodes and have her competing against the whole cast, but also her sisters from Orlando. Yay!
And that's our prediction, and hopefully, with the new season, we'll find out that our prediction is correct.
Fingers crossed. We'll catch you in about 4 months.
Thank you.
Thank you.